Good morning, everyone. It's the morning meeting. Sean, Dan, and I take you through the day and the style of the network news division's morning meetings, where they talk about the day book of what's coming up, looking forward to the day, the week ahead. And there's a busy week ahead, including one of my least favorite events, ANGA, where you cannot move a block in Manhattan in a car. Uh, we'll tell you all about that. We'll kick it around, and then we'll be delighted, and I mean it, to take your questions and comments if you're on the two-way platform. Please raise your hand. And we'll get to many of you soon, although we have a lot of topics to get to, warning you now. Uh, if you're watching on X or YouTube, uh, Dan, this is going to be a segue. What should people who are watching on X or YouTube remember? No
Oh,
smack,
smack in the
no
chat.
smack in the chat, embroidered on our shirts, which reminds me to remind everyone about one of our favorite sponsors, the good folks at Fairway and Green. You might think someone who just got off the red eye from Phoenix would look disheveled. In fact, Dan, have you ever seen me look better?
No, I mean, to look that crisp and cool after sleeping in a shirt must be a nice shirt.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shirt. The folks at Fairway and Green now have available for your purchase customized, bespoke products from the morning meeting in two-way. Sean, how could people possibly buy these without a discount?
They can't, Mark, but that's what's great. We've got one for everyone now. In fact, if you go to twoway.tv/fairway and use code two-way20, that's the numeral two, way 2020, you get 20% off. Mark, here's the best part. It's site-wide, quarter zip sweaters, you name it, whatever you want, 20% off using code two-way20.
And beautiful stuff. Noah, are the women's clothes available and the embroidered catchphrases? Is that available yet, or is that still pending? I think the women's is up.
I need to check on that one.
Anyway, I go there now. It's great stuff. You see us wearing it regularly. It's so comfortable. I slept in mine on the red eye, and now again, look how great it looks. If I put it down there, it just bounces right back into shape. Again, as Sean said, go to Fairway. I go to two-way.tv/fairway, promo code two-way20, 20% off site wide. Many of you have already bought products. There's lots of options. They're all beautiful. We recommend. All right. There's so much to get to, but we're going to start with the day book. Let's see. The day book. As I said, the day book. Here we go.
It goes quick.
The president, I'm just having a little trouble finding it. Yeah. Fox is the radio pool. Breitbart's the new media pool, etc. USA Today, etc. Whatever. And then they're out of town pool because
that's a lot of Fox.
Times. The president at 4:00 in the Roosevelt Room with Bobby Kennedy and Oz are going to say that Tylenol, they believe, is the cause of not all of autism.
I was going to say not the cause,
a big cause, and we'll talk about that today. It's an interesting thing, and the president's quite excited about it, as he made clear yesterday in his speech. Not sure why that had to do with the death of Charlie Kirk, but in any event, assassination. And then the president tonight comes to New York City. But all of that wrapped around Caroline Leavitt briefing at 1:00. So that'll be pretty interesting. She's going to get, there are a lot of topics for her to get to. And I hope it's a long briefing because there's a lot to get to. As I said, 4:00, Secretary Kennedy joins the president. House and Senator out. Adam Smith, Democrat of Washington State, is leading the first House delegation to China in like 6 years. There have been some Senate delegations. The vice president, former vice president, Kamala Harris, or as Donald Trump called her up until he beat her, Kamala, is on Mad Out tonight, launching her book tour, which has not been the most well executed book tour so far, but we shall see. All right. Again, lots of topics to get to. Yesterday, I urge any of you who haven't watched at least the portion of the event in Phoenix that I covered of Erica Kirk's speech. I urge you to watch it. It's just extraordinary. And perhaps the part that was most extraordinary, that's raised all sorts of theological and philosophical debates in less than a day, is the question of forgiveness without someone apologizing. The man who is charged with murdering her husband, she said this about him yesterday, 103.
Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, forgive him.
Remarkably well produced event. And again, I think it's objectively the case that while the other speeches were all quite interesting, there was different in some ways. There's through lines throughout her performance, her connection, not just the audience in the room and people watching on television, but her connection to reality and to her faith. One of the most extraordinary things I've seen in my life, not just in my career. The president himself struck a different tone. 104, please.
In that private moment on his dying day, we find everything we need to know about who Charlie Kirk truly was. He was a missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent.
Erica is now the head of Turning Point, and the performance she gave yesterday was startling and inspiring and extraordinary. But the claim made there at the event by many is that Charlie Kirk's assassination will only strengthen the movement, both the political organization and spreading of the gospel. And so let me ask this as the first question. Sean, what is her potential? Does she have potential to be a president, a senator, to run this organization? What is her potential based on what we've seen so far?
It's unlimited. She can do what she has shown the last week is somebody of enormous poise, deep courage and faith. And I think she can do anything that she chooses to do. And she's clearly got a platform now to do it. So obviously this will be something that evolves, but I think a lot of eyes turned to her last night, and frankly, over the last week, based on the first comments that she gave the day or two after Charlie was assassinated. So I think she is somebody who everybody will keep their eye on.
Dan, she's obviously a great speaker. She obviously shows her heart in a public way with purpose like few have ever done, really, literally in the history of communication, and certainly televised communication. Do you think she's got a political future or a spiritual future beyond Turning Point, potentially?
I don't know, because I agree with what you and Sean just said, but what we don't know and won't know for, months, if not a year, is can she connect, inspire, kind of register and turn out people? I mean, that was Charlie Kirk's amazing gift, was he could kind of do all of the above. And he proved it over a decade as he turned out more and more voters for the causes that he believes in. As you say, she can speak well. She's authentic as anyone I've ever seen. If her message and her foundation is forgiveness, what a powerful message in these times. But, she's a mother. She has young children. She's now a widow. Does she want to travel the country? Does she want to go and go on campuses and give speeches and organize? Or is she going to be more of like the chairperson and leave it to others to be management and kind of go do the nitty gritty of organizing? We're just going to have to see.
The interesting thing about your question is throughout history on both parties, sometimes an elected official will pass away and they'll turn to the spouse. You think even Mary Bono, when Sonny Bono passed. I mean, there's a whole history in Missouri.
Mel Carnahan and
yep. Emerson. Yep. So this is, and then in Louisiana, Julia. Anyway, this is But the difference here is that in many cases, the spouse isn't really involved, and they say you've got the name ID, whatever. Erica was very involved in Turning Point. She's very involved in being in Charlie's philosophies and his actions and what he was doing. So for her, this is not just like some random spouse stepping up and stepping in. She's been intricately involved in the process, in the movement, in the message. She believes it in her bones. You can tell. So I think this is not your normal situation where a spouse is being asked to step up. She was a partner in this to begin with.
Yeah, I will say, and I mean, no disrespect to her, and I'm not predicting this or wishing for it. She's not Charlie. She has her own strengths, and
Exactly.
but she now doesn't have a spouse to take care of the kids. You know, if she's traveling, she can't be on the road the way he was. She can't host a show the way he did. I don't know that she's got the political genius he did. So as Dan, you said, you know, there's going to have to be other people involved. And the question is there a face of the organization besides her? Lots of their colleagues spoke yesterday, and I'm familiar with about half of them. Half of them I don't really know, although I learned I follow a lot of them on Twitter. I didn't realize that. But I think that's a big open question, because so much of the success of the organization was the determination of Charlie and the focus of Charlie and the skills of Charlie. And again, she's an extraordinary person, but she doesn't have the exact same skill set.
One last thing I'll put a pin in it is there's one thing to be the leader of it. One of the things that I have seen on the right, and you heard a little bit last night, is how many other people are stepping up and saying, I'll be Charlie Kirk too. So he has spawned thousands of people to take up their cross and go preach the gospel, to get politically active, to start a chapter. So it's the one thing about this is it's not going to take one person to replace him, because there's literally thousands that have stepped up.
Yeah. By going to the event and covering it, the typical thing of going to a debate or going to a convention, I'm too close to it in that I was there the entire day. I was there from 5:30 in the morning till, I don't know, 5 at night, I think, 5:30 for about 12 hours. So I was able to absorb it. I was able to talk to a lot of supporters of Charlie and friends of Charlie. It's a great experience, but I know, you know, most Americans don't know it happened. You know, they didn't watch a minute of it.
To your point, Mark, I will say the one other thing that we didn't touch on for obvious reasons, the logistics of putting that event together, the quality of production, the response. I was blown away as somebody. I mean, you've obviously been to a lot more of these big events, but in terms of conventions, Super Bowls, what Turning Point did yesterday is miraculous.
Yeah. And it's because of the standards Charlie set, and you know, he demanded that their events be world class, and this was, and under very tough circumstances. Now, they did have the support of the White House and the White House advance team, so that gave him a little bit of a leg up off of a normal private group. But all right, Elon Musk was there.
I will
yesterday.
also just say, because you played the clip, expect to hear Trump's comments in campaign ads.
Yeah, for both sides. 105,
absolutely.
105A, Elon Musk was there. He started out on the floor. He then showed up in the president's box. Afterwards, he showed up backstage with Erica Kirk. Here's the New York Times headline. Trump and Musk are seen together at Kirk Memorial months after falling out. The meeting came just 3 months after Mr. Musk exited the government. Here's a little bit of the video you've all seen already, but this is the president 105B and Musk in the box with Dana White. And here is the president talking about the meeting on Air Force One on the flight home, 106.
Mr. President, everyone's saying that Charlie brought you and Elon back together. Is that true?
Well, Elon came over and said hello. No, it's nothing to do with that. I thought it was nice. You know, he came over, we had a little conversation. We had a very good relationship, but it was nice that he came over. Dana White was there, the great Dana White.
All right, we'll do this one quick, guys. Is Musk back in the fold for the purposes of funding Turning Point and the midterms? Yes or no? Is he now going to write big checks for Turning Point in the midterms? Sean?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes, because he'll pay.
Yeah. This is Spidey Sense no reporting. I think he was so moved by Erica yesterday that he's gonna become a big contributor.
I'll go a step further. For his businesses, he needs to kiss their butt and get back in the good graces.
Yeah. All right. That'd be more cynical than my point of view. All right. Later today, 4:00, the president and Bobby Kennedy are announcing something the Wall Street Journal reported about a month ago, which is that they believe that that Tylenol is a major contributor to the increase in incidence of autism. And it is the case that pregnant women do take a lot of Tylenol because it is the drug, the ingredient in Tylenol and generics is the thing that doctors believe is safe for pregnant women. And it is taken in larger doses in the United States than it is for pregnant women in other countries. And that's the theory that they have. The maker of Tylenol says it's not true. Some medical experts say disagree and don't believe that that's a major cause or a cause at all in some cases. So none of us are medical experts, but Dan, what's your view of the significance of this announcement?
Well, people have been wondering what are the causes or a cause. And so if this is a piece of the puzzle, I think it's going to get attention. I think what's fascinating is the Wall Street Journal story that you referenced this morning says there are several people in the administration who disagree with this and are very concerned about this announcement. The medical community seems to be entirely split. Whenever you're going to make a major kind of earth-shattering announcement on anything, you want your side at least to be completely unified and singing from the hymnal. My sense is they are going to go into this announcement completely fractured, and that is not a good look when you're talking about children and health. Because I think the same thing says, still take Tylenol if you have a fever. Well, if it's causing autism, shouldn't you take something else if you have a fever?
There's no alternative for pregnant women, as I understand it. Sean, why is the president so excited about this? Why is he calling this one of the biggest announcements like in American medical history? I don't quite understand that. He said that in his speech yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he'll get asked in the pool today what he thinks of it and why. My guess is because he's been told that this, I mean, I'm sure that the people around him in terms of Oz and or Bobby or whatever have really hyped it up.
Yeah.
Obviously. And I will say, I've noted this before, the president's got a soft spot when it comes to like kids. And so the idea that he thinks that, or he's been told that, he's on the road to helping solve this is probably a pretty big deal.
Yeah. All right. Let's we're going to toggle back and forth, do some of these quickly. This one will be quick. Government funding shut down. The Democrats over the weekend continue to not see what Schumer's endgame is. Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries trying to be on the same page. Sean, where are you now? Shutdown, no shutdown, what duration, if there is one?
I think, it's a Tuesday night, so keep that in mind, but I will say the people that I've talked to said that this Congress and this administration, that believe that we will go to a shutdown, will be minimally invasive, meaning they're already planning to make sure that national parks stay open, that everything so that it's not felt. So I think you might actually get one for 48, 72 hours, but I think they're already planning how to minimize the impact that people don't feel it.
And when they eventually make a deal, Sean, what will the Democrats get?
Nothing. They're offering a clean CR, which is what Democrats have offered forever. So it is kind of, Dan's pointed this out, but Schumer asking for trillions of dollars for a short-term stopgap is insane.
Dan.
Yeah, I think it'll be 5 to 10 days. And if their Democrats are smart, they'll keep it simple, stupid. It's the ACA extension. It splits Republicans. They know they have to do it.
Yeah. Kimmel still off the air. ABC, Disney still not explained why they took him off the air. There's not been a word from them about why. Bob Iger still faces an extraordinary quandary. There's no good outcome here for him. Here, 109. This is just one example. Disney, this is from Hollywood Reporter. Disney's Lilith Fair doc premiere, Sarah McLachlan says musical performances canceled amid calls for free speech following Jimmy Kimmel's suspension. The point is there's a lot of talent on camera, producers, writers who do not want Disney to cave. They want Kimmel back on the air. If they put Kimmel back on the air, I can virtually guarantee you he will not apologize. He will not say what they want. Comedians are going to continue to speak out. There's there's the affiliates. It's a really affiliate station owners. Very tough situation. The president talked about Jimmy Kimmel in his normal warm way last night on Air Force One. 108, please.
I did his show before I ran for politics. I did his show many times, and he was never one of the top people. Do you remember during the Academy Awards when he read my truth just before giving out the Best Picture Award? And I said, and what he read was that he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards. Look, Jimmy Kimmel suffers from two things. First of all, he said a terrible thing about Charlie, but he also suffers from the fact that he's got no talent and he's got no ratings. A deadly combination. That's deadly.
Well, we didn't really recall the president being on Jimmy Kimmel. So here, not available on other programs because they don't have our alacrity. Here is the president on Jimmy Kimmel, Once Upon a Time in 2015.
Who do you like more, Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton?
Well, I actually think that Bernie would be easier to beat, even though he shows up a little bit better in the polls, and I might be wrong, but what I do like about Bernie is that when he loses, because the system is rigged against him, totally, just like it was rigged against me. I mean, the system is rigged. And if I didn't win by massive landslides every state, there was no chance that I could have won. And he's sort of having the same thing, except she's got a different, kind of a deal. She's got superdelegates that were just handed to her. I don't know how.
Do you understand how that works? Because I don't.
Nobody understands it, but it's an unfair system. And I understand the bosses hand out delegates, and whoever gets the most, superdelegates has a good advantage. But it's unfair to him. I don't like what's happening, and I watch it. And we had it too, the Republicans, in a more sophisticated way, because the superdelegates are so obvious. The Republican system is also, and I think I came up with the word rigged because I was going around 3-4 months ago screaming, this system's rigged. Then I started winning by so much that it didn't matter whether or not it was rigged. It's sort of like the prize fighter. They go into the ring, and if they knock the guy out, it doesn't matter if the judges are fixed, right?
Yeah, right. If there's a brick in his glove, he's still on the ground.
I think it's very unfair what's happening to Bernie Sanders, actually, and it's a system that's not a good system.
I asked Bernie Sanders because he's going to be here tomorrow to ask a question. Have you met Bernie? Have you guys ever met before?
I've never really had the privilege.
I see. Okay, so here's the question from Bernie. He asked, Hillary Clinton backed out of an agreement to debate me in California before the June 7th primary.
Right.
Are you prepared to debate the major issues facing our largest state and the country before the California primary? Yes or no? He wants to know if you will debate him.
Yes, I am. How much is he going to pay me?
You would do it for a price? What would the price be?
Yeah, because if I debated him, we would have such high ratings, and I think I should take that money and give it to some worthy charity, okay?
So if it was done for charity, you would agree to do that?
If he paid a nice sum toward a charity, I would love to do that.
Oh, interesting. What if the network put up the money?
All right.
Guys
I'm enjoying this, but it's eating up too much time. First of all, their report is fantastic. I thought that's got to be spring of 2016, not 2015, based on what they were saying. So here's my question, guys, and again, we're going quick here. Will Jimmy Kimmel be back on the air this week? Sean, yes or no? Well, Sean, Dan.
He didn't want to answer the question. He just dropped off.
Yeah, yes or no, Dan?
No, he will not be this week.
Will he ever be back on the air?
I don't believe so.
No. Okay. All right. We'll wait for Sean to come back. We're going to wrap it around some stuff here. Pam Bondi, the president sent a message to Pam Bondi on social media. Some people in the press are reading that as he meant to DM her, and now they're concerned that he's DMing people in the cabinet. But leaving that aside, he wants her to investigate his enemies and suggested she wasn't being direct enough. But then twice since that message, he's been supportive of her. Dan, is this story dead, or is it going to continue to percolate?
Going to continue, because what he also did was run a U.S. attorney out who had made the decision that I think it was over Letitia James, that there was no evidence of mortgage fraud and was not going to bring a case. He didn't like it, so
how is it going to sustain? Like, how will we see it sustain?
Because this is the type of stuff people hate about Trump. And I think Democrats are going to make sure you don't forget. And I think he truly wants either Schiff, James, what's his name, Bolton. He wants a scalp on his mantle from one of his enemies. And unless it sounds like the woman in Maryland now is the next U.S. attorney, he may fire. And he's just going to keep firing them.
Do you feel the same way about the Homans thing, where Homans allegedly took $50,000 in a Kava paper bag?
You keep hearing Democrats reference it. I mean, look, Jeffrey said, whether I agree with it or not, that corruption was one of the things they're going to focus on. And I think there's enough there. Swing voters hate this stuff, hate it. And the fact that on here and X, all I hear from the right is, you did it, so now we get to do it. That's not a winning message.
Sean, are you back here with us?
I am.
Okay, I can't see you. To what extent
Is this Sean, so that there's no tape of you defending this?
To what extent?
Oh, you're
No,
back.
no, wait,
Okay.
here.
To what extent? Well, just quickly, because we got to move on. We're running out of time. To what extent do you agree with Dan that the stuff with Pam Bondi being and the new firing a U.S. attorney and the Homan stuff, that swing voters don't like this stuff and it will hurt Trump and the Republican Party politically? Do you agree with that?
I don't think it'll rise to the level. Most people aren't paying that much attention. I do want to make one quick comment. I know I dropped out on Kimmel, which is I think one of the things that the last 8 years, everyone in the media loves to use the phrase without evidence. And there is this narrative that ABC in particular, but others are saying that Kimmel was canceled because of a comment that the FCC chair put on. There is no evidence that that actually happened. We do know for a fact that Nexstar and Sinclair. Yeah. I know, but I just think that when,
I agree with you.
All of these
we don't
people,
know. We don't know why Unger did what he did. We don't know.
Right. But I think that for all of these networks who have bemoaned misinformation without evidence, the Jake Tappers of the world, who suddenly now make the same connection because it fits their narrative to say that Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air because Brendan Carr made a comment. That's not a known fact. There is no evidence to prove that. In fact, the only evidence suggests that Sinclair.
Right. No, we don't even know that it was Sinclair. We don't know why. Bob
or Nexstar.
But Sean, what we do know, according to reporting, and this would make logical sense, is that when Carr spoke, the executives of ABC became very aware of it.
Yeah, but they also became aware of what Nexstar and Sinclair did.
No,
they also might have been offended by what Kimmel did. We don't know.
I agree, but to say that it's a lie to say that it basically you're implying it had no impact. And I'm saying
Dan, hold on. Key phrase, just to be clear. It could have had everything to do with it. Sure. It could have had nothing to do with it. But for the same people who have bemoaned misinformation and the phrase without evidence for the last 8 years, to immediately jump to the conclusion that it did occur because they are equally culpable. And every one of these people from CNN to Politico to ABC News is showing exactly what liars they are.
Totally agree. But I will say this, even if Bob Iger's action had nothing to do with the FCC chair, he still shouldn't have said what he said.
Totally agree.
Fine. Yeah. But that's again. Yeah, my issue is the without evidence crap.
At the UN today, again, the president arrives tonight. They're having a day-long thing led by the Saudis and the French, I think, on Israel and Palestine. The U.S. is not involved in this meeting. The president's meeting with Zelensky at some point this week. He's meeting with the Turkish president, right? He's a president, or is he a prime minister? Erdogan. Is he
Turkish president? He's a president.
President's what I thought.
Erdogan,
anyway,
yes.
lots of UNGA meetings. The president said he's going to have like 20 bilats. Besides Israel, Sean, name one thing you're interested in UNGA this week.
I mean, you can't help but think that Ukraine's going to be a major topic.
Okay, Dan?
China and how he deals with China still in the long run. He wants a deal.
All right, two more things, and then your questions. If you'd like to get in the conversation and you don't have your hand up already, please put it up now. We'll get to you in just a moment. TikTok, the president saying there's a deal. The algorithm is not changing. Where a U.S. consortium of friends of the president, including maybe the Murdochs, News Corp, are going to license the algorithm. Someone from the Chinese company will stay on the board. This deal, as currently outlined, doesn't seem like it fulfills what Congress had in mind. So we'll just go binary. Dan, will there be a deal, as the president claims, or will it collapse? Deal or no deal?
Well, there's going to be a deal, but it's not what everyone thinks. And I'll just add, the Chinese have not confirmed all these details.
They've not confirmed any of it. Sean, deal or no deal?
It'll be a deal.
Deal, and I will say the statement that they put out after the call that they had actually was probably the most forward-leaning, TikTok-supportive deal language that I've ever heard. So I actually think we're headed in a very good direction in this. I will say, aside from what, okay,
joke.
I will say my concerns still stand for the algorithm, meaning what we're doing to kids is horrible. That's a separate distinct issue from Chinese ownership, but I do think that we are continuing to poison the next generation of Americans with these apps.
Yes, and this doesn't seem like it's going to fix that. All right, very quickly, 107 days comes out tomorrow. As we said, Vice President Harris is on TV tonight. She's doing The View tomorrow. good luck with her getting there with all the ANGA traffic. So I'm warning her team.
She can walk from where she is.
Save some extra time. Yeah, she could walk. And she doesn't have Secret Service, so
I was going to say she doesn't have that.
So she's being panned for the book, picking fights with lots of Democrats, including the Bidens, who have been quiet so far. But trust me, if she keeps it up, they will not be quiet. And
Finey sense or reporting, Mark?
Yeah, trust me. And then the New York Times has this op-ed guy who used to write book reviews for the Washington Post. He's a total liberal. And he wrote a scathing piece about the book today, saying what a lot of Democrats have been saying, which is all she's doing is finger pointing. And what I say is what I've said from the beginning. If she didn't think she could win in 107 days, she shouldn't have taken the job. Like, it was no surprise it was 107 days. And yet she's blaming everybody but herself. She takes in the book virtually no responsibility. She had a laundry list of other people whose fault it was. So, Dan, here's my exit question. Does the way this book was written suggest that Kamala Harris has no intention of running for president?
No, it suggests she has a lot of intention to run for president. I keep saying this. She wants to find a way to get to yes. I'll be so curious where she is at the end of this week.
Yeah. Sean, will this book tour and this book be a success commercially? No.
Well, it depends on, I've got to be honest with you, it depends on how you define it. Because I think one of the things, and we talked about this before, where I think Kamala screwed this up was the publishers made her lean in to do and say things to make it a success, which is what they deem success, book sales and revenue. I think what her purposes is not just dollars, it's actually resetting the political landscape. And I think from that standpoint, it will be a favor. And for those reasons, I'm out. Oh, wait, that's a different show.
Yeah. I'm super interested to see what kind of questions she gets on the book tour. Because if they ask her, I am, because if they ask her questions about the stuff that's made news, like picking fights with Democrats, whatever, I don't know. Like the stuff she writes about Joe Biden is way more negative than I thought she would do. And I don't know how she's gonna answer, right? It's one thing to put it on the page and craft it and have your editor look it over. It's another thing. Because again, what have I always said, Dan, about Kamala Harris? She does not like to make difficult decisions under pressure. And when she's asked these questions, to tell these stories out of her mouth, it's going to be a challenge.
Well, Mark, you know, that on that point, she's done well historically in debates and stuff when she has scripted the counterpunch, but she's terrible thinking on her feet.
Yeah.
Do you think so? You know, there's like 10 questions that are going to come, right? About the VP when she
Buttigieg.
Yeah, the day she got it, she made all the calls about Joe Biden. Do you think she has crisp, clean answer? Right. See, that's the thing, and that's where you're going to be like, you knew they were coming.
For those of you listening to the podcast version,
Mark is laughing. Everybody,
I just laughed silently but uproariously. Don't forget to download the podcast.
Can I make one point that we're missing too? And it's not that we're missing. When people go on book tours, they assume that the host is going to ask them about their book, and that's where they're wrong. That she's going to get asked about UNGA, she's going to asked about China, she's going to get asked about Gaza, she's going to get asked about Russia, she's going to get asked about Charlie Kirk, she's going to get asked about government shutdown. And where people who write books make a huge mistake is they think somehow because they got booked to come on the show to talk about their book, that's the topic. It's 100%. Not. It is your job as an author to talk about your book. It's the host's job to make news.
Here's how it works.
Great call, Sean.
The interviewer, correct. The interviewer holds up the book. Vice President Harris, you hear your book 170 days. We're going to get to the book in just a minute. But first, let me ask you 40 questions about Charlie Kirk. All right. We're going to get to your questions in just a moment, but a word from our other sponsor. First, the CB Distillery is another discount for you on this one too. Nights when you can't sleep or you've got aches and pains from exercise, you're exhausted, dragging, you need more rest, and this is one way to do it. Use the good products from CB Distillery. It's not just about sleep, as I said, though. It also can deal with stress, pain after exercise, mood, and focus. High quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, just premium CBD. Imagine being able to wake up refreshed. Okay. Over 2 million people trust the products from CB Distillery. If you're looking for better sleep, less stress, and to feel good in your own skin again, try the products from CB Distillery. Take a look. Go to the website, cbdistillery.com. Use the promo code MARK a miraculous 25% off. Again, if you're looking for more sleep, more relaxation, pain relief after exercise, if you're sore, give it a try. Go to cbdistillery.com, promo code Mark for 25% off your entire order. Thank you for your attention to that matter. Here we go, everybody. Time for your questions and comments about whatever it is you wish to discuss. My goodness, I got a lot of options here.
Yeah.
A lot of hands up. Ooh, my goodness. Just give me a moment, people. I'm a lot like Joe Biden. I like to look at the list that's been provided to me. I don't like to call on people just spontaneously. Carrie, welcome in. I think Carrie might be new to the program, which would be exciting. Carrie, have you ever been on the show before? No. Chicago suburbs. Which
All right.
suburb? I'm going with where was it that Dick Cheney said Adam Clymer was a major league asshole? That was in what's the name of that place? Somebody help me.
Hinsdale or
No.
Winnetka?
No, somebody Google it. Carrie, what suburb
If you're
are you from?
listening to the podcast, you'll now see an expletive little thing on it too now.
Yeah. Carrie, what suburb do you live in?
I am in Downers Grove. So whoever said, I think Dan just said Hinsdale. I'm a stone's throw from Hinsdale, just a little further west from there. So
Do you go into town a lot?
Not anymore. I work from home. You see me, this is my office in my basement, and I've been working from home since before it was cool to work from home. I'm a legal recruiter. So that's kind of what keeps me busy these days, in addition to raising 2 teenagers and taking care of a family.
All right. And how long have you been part of the two-way? How long have you been part of the two-way community?
I have been watching you guys for quite a while. This is my first time on the platform. I was one of those voices that kept encouraging you to put it on pod, because I love to put my phone in my pocket or go to the gym and have you guys in my back pocket and not have to keep my phone open all the time. But I've been so moved by what's been happening over the last couple of weeks. And I'm always so impressed by the voices in the community and the questions that are asked by members of the community, that it inspired me to get up the courage to sign on with you guys and see if I can get some feedback.
Amazing. Great to have you here. Naperville is where Dick Cheney called Adam Clymer.
Okay, so my sister's in Naperville. That's just even a little further west from me, so very close.
That place is lovely, Naperville.
It's very lovely. Downers Grove, also very lovely.
Also lovely. All right. I haven't been to Downers Grove, but next time I'm there. Tell us what's on your mind. And again, thank you for being part of Two Way.
Yeah, absolutely. So Charlie's on my mind, as I know a lot of people are, and I'm sorry if people are getting tired of talking about it. I'm not over it yet, and I don't know when I'm going to be over it. I'm gonna try to be mindful of my time and everybody else's time, but I want to give you a little background about how I got to where I am sitting on this platform and feeling the need to kind of speak out, because I think it sort of informs where I'm at. So
great.
I'm a two-time. I know you guys love to ask.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark.
No, go ahead. Just take your time.
So, two-time Trump supporter. I did not vote for him in 2016. I voted for Gary Johnson, I think was that the Libertarian candidate.
Yep.
And I started, I was not a Trump supporter. I thought he was the orange man. I thought he was bloviating. I thought he was obnoxious. I wasn't really paying attention to him. And then COVID happened. And during COVID, I did what a lot of people do. You're glued to your TV, you're watching CNN, you're watching Fox, you're watching MSNBC. CNN at that point was my platform of choice to get my news, and you had nothing else to do, so you're watching the TV all day. And I was forced to watch Trump, and I was forced to watch his press conferences. And what happened during that time is I would see Trump in a press conference talking about, using bleach on surfaces, talking to somebody about using bleach on surfaces, and then Trump making a comment, well, wouldn't it be great if we could find a way to do that with the human body? And then the next thing you know, they cut away from Trump and there's CNN saying, Trump tells people to inject themselves with bleach. I would hear Trump saying, wouldn't it be great if we could pack the churches on Easter? And then CNN would say, Trump vows to pack the churches on Easter, endangering millions. And I started to think, wait a second. I started to just think to myself, like, this guy's been screaming about fake news for years and years. I've paid no attention to it, but like, is this maybe what he's been talking about? Is this the fake news? And the more I started to talk and the more I started to listen to what he was actually saying with my own ears, instead of what the media was telling me to believe, I realized that he wasn't who I thought I was. So that led me to the path of independent media during COVID, you know, and I found Mark, I found you, I found Megyn Kelly. And I really am a person now who gets my primary information through independent media. You guys, Megyn, Glenn Greenwald, Matt Taibbi, Michael Schellenberger, Alex Berenson, the Free Press, Catherine Herridge.
Gary, you speak for tens of millions.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Thank you. Thank you. And so I think what I found during the Biden administration, and once I started watching independent media, was this frustration over all these lies that the media was telling me, that the mainstream media, you know, dominant media was telling me. And there was this watershed moment. Everybody remembers it. It was the night of the debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, where Joe sat with his mouth agape, you know, and looked like the walking corpse. And the next day, it felt to me as if the heavens had parted. All of the news media started saying he's not fit, he's not right, he's not okay, he's not who we thought. And this is after months and months and months of being told that he was sharp as a tack, that these were cheap fakes, that he was okay. And so I really thought after that moment, this is it. This is going to be the moment we finally have honesty from the media, and the mainstream media is going to start being honest again. And that lasted all of about 2 weeks. When Charlie was murdered, I think I had sort of the same reaction that I had after the Biden debate, when the media started being honest for a couple of weeks. I thought, finally, like, we're going to finally have an honest conversation about what's going on. And there's no possible way that anybody could spin the assassination of Charlie Kirk into anything other than what it was. Wow. I couldn't have been more wrong. You know, not only was I horrified by the people celebrating the assassination of Charlie, but the disgusting attempts to spin it different ways. And I'm not talking about far left people. I mean, Sean, I saw you over the weekend reposted ABC's John Carl making a statement that the murder of Charlie was not a political act. NBC News this weekend came out saying there's no evidence that the shooter had any ties to left-wing groups. Jimmy Kimmel saying he's MAGA. Montel Williams on CNN saying that they're star-crossed lovers. ABC's Matt Gutman saying, you know, they were sharing touching texts, and the lying is just making me absolutely insane. Yeah. So, okay, I'm coming around to my question. I've already talked too much. So I want to get past this. I want to be able to feel better about this. And I know Mark and Dan and Sean, I listen to you guys every single day. Mark, I listen to you twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, depending on if you're next up that day. You know, and I've been talking about it with my husband and my friends, and like, what will make me feel better, and how do we move past this? And here's what I would like to see from the leaders, Dan, of your party, and I want your feedback on whether this is just pie in the sky or whether you think this could ever happen. But I would love the leaders on the left, the political leaders. And I don't even know who that would be at this point. Is it Pelosi? Is it Schumer? Would it be Obama? Would it be Bill Clinton? I don't know. But I would love someone on the left, a leader, to say, 1, political violence, not acceptable. They've already done that. And I commend those. And I agree with you, Dan, that the leaders have spoken up and say political violence, never acceptable. I would love to hear them say, and if you're celebrating Charlie's assassination, there's no room for you in our party. There's no room for that sort of attitude in our party. So if that's your takeaway, we don't want you. And 3, I would love, this is never going to, my husband tells me I'm delusional and it'll never happen. Yes, the rhetoric comes from both sides. I agree with that. But I would love for a leader in this situation to be able to step forward and say, we need to talk truth about what this is. Not Portman from Minnesota, not Paul Pelosi. We're looking at Charlie Kirk, and we need to be honest about what this was. He had bullet casings with slogans from Antifa and furry culture, his own words, talking about being, in a relationship with his trans lover, his parents talking about how he had gone too far left, how he had really fallen into the gay and the trans. I feel like unless we have some honesty and unless we have some acknowledgement about what this act was, not all the other acts, I don't know how people like me can move forward.
Carrie, incredible. and connecting this to the Biden thing is so smart. And I've been asking people on the left since Charlie was assassinated to appreciate the point of view you just expressed. What happened this weekend with the firing of the U.S. attorney and Homans. There's plenty of other things to cover, and they need to be covered. But to grudgingly say, yeah, it's sad the guy died, and we'll wait a day or two before we criticize the things that continue to be said, even this weekend, about Charlie. The left has to understand a hero, a leading figure, a friend to so many, was assassinated. They have to understand why that's so emotional for people, and they don't seem to. Sean, questions or comments about all the great stuff Carrie said?
Preach, sister. I thought it was fantastic. Thank you for walking through all that, because you're right. I mean, the lies and misinformation about what Trump actually said, going back to Charlottesville, very fine people, they still perpetuate that lie. It's funny though, because we talk about political violence, and then over the weekend, there's people throwing rocks at ICE agents and vehicles, and no one's speaking out against that. So apparently, as long as you direct it in a certain way, it's okay. No one on the left condemning that. If it's not okay, then you shouldn't throw rocks or step in front of or pound government vehicles or agents. But apparently, we don't need to call that out. On the vote, it was fascinating when a Republican Congress led a resolution on, her name is Hortman, correct? The former speaker in the Minnesota House. It was unanimous. Every Republican voted to condemn that, led by a Republican Congress, and put it on the floor. Last week, 90 Democrats refused to support a resolution condemning the assassination of Charlie Kirk. 90. And no one in the media brought that up as a problem. I mean, it's funny because they all love to condemn it, but then they won't actually put their name behind the votes. And again, the media is complicit in letting that just go by. You name checked what happened on. Hold on. Yeah, it was reported. Yes, that a resolution passed, not that 90 Democrats voted no. And last, I'll just say, because you name checked it, on yesterday, Jonathan Karl of ABC News said, quote, "The killing of Charlie Kirk was not a political act." When I called it out and said, really, it wasn't, ABC went apoplectic. That they asked me to take the clip down, that was wrong. I didn't. And apparently they can say stuff like that without evidence. And I'm the bad guy for pointing it out. What ABC did yesterday and what Jonathan Karl did was wrong. It was misinformation. And yet, apparently, according to the ABC executives, it was my bad for pointing it out. They had people try to call me to tell me to take it down. They went after it. I mean, like, it's insane. And yet, that's the way that they operate. When they make a mistake, when they lie, when they spread information, they attack the messenger.
Dan.
Yeah, I think it's you raised so many interesting points, Carrie, and I think thank you for sharing. I think one of the things that's really kind of heartbreaking about the environment right now is this view of, well, the other side does it, so we're going to do it too, right? Whether it's like the home and stuff or whatever. One of the things that's taken hold on the left is this idea that one of Trump's strengths is he never apologizes, ever gives an inch, right? He mocks, he attacks, he is relentlessly on his front foot. Don Jr., there's the infrastructure of just constantly never giving an inch. And so now you have a lot of people on the left who say, we need to do the same thing. So we won't criticize when people celebrate, right? We're going to just be silent and look past it. And you hear on the left, if you follow Blue Sky or whatever, and we've said it on here, right? When Don Jr. mocked the attacker on Paul Pelosi, right? It was amplified on the right as a ha-ha. And I get it, right? Because you never give an inch, ever. It's part of the brand of strength that Trump has built. So I wish we would not follow suit, because I would argue it's one of the things people hate about Trump, right?
Carrie, grateful to you for coming on. I hope you'll come back regularly. And
thank
really
you, Carrie.
Appreciate what you said. And I know tens of millions of people agree with your analysis, but you said it brilliantly. So thank you. Welcome in, Jesse. Thank you for being part of Two Way. Tell folks who don't know where you are, what's on your mind for Dan and Sean, please.
Yeah, I've watched you guys for a long time. Meghan McCain's podcast is what first brought me to the show and made me aware of it. I am from Louisville, Kentucky. I have voted for both Donald Trump and Andy Bashir. So maybe we can talk about that a different day. But what I wanted to talk about today is that I don't know if everyone realizes how important this Tylenol issue is to Maha moms. I've been pregnant 3 times. I had horrible pregnancies. And there was one pregnancy I didn't take Tylenol at all. There were other times where I had to have it.
Yeah.
And so I think that it not only speaks to just Tylenol and this little issue, I think moms want to be heard about this more broadly. And we'd really like to hear some female voices surrounding that subject because, doctors, GPs tend to just say, you're pregnant, you can't take anything. Then you're breastfeeding and they say, you can't take anything. And I think that if the Republicans can get this issue right, whatever it is, whether it is okay or is not okay to take Tylenol, I just think that we really want to see a thorough investigation and see where that goes. And I think it's something to watch. And I'll be interested to see if Meghan McCain talks about it today too, because she really seems to have the pulse on Maha moms.
Yeah, Jesse, again, you speak for
Really
tens of
well
millions.
said.
People want clarity, and I hope the press conference today is not all men. I said that yesterday
I hope so too.
When the president said he was going to be there. But there is the problem, right? First of all, as we said, some people dispute the claim that they're going to make, not just the company, but some scientists, including, as Dan said, some people in the government. And I've been asking since the Wall Street Journal story, okay, if you can't take Tylenol, there's a reason why pregnant women are told to take Tylenol. There are no other options. So people are talking about lower dosage, but then the question is, how low is good enough to deal with the pain, but still not cause the problem. So I'm not sure they're going to have all the answers today, but they've made this a high priority, and their work on autism will continue. This is not the last word. They're looking at all sorts of other things as well. How old are your kids, Jesse?
They are 8, 6, and 2.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jesse, I have a question for you. You really well said. I think you do speak for a lot of people. Do you trust Robert F. Kennedy on this issue and his findings, or do you have concerns about him as the leader on this topic?
I do have concerns. And that's why I want to hear from a lot of voices. I think Maha moms are they're smart too. They've been trying to figure this out on their own for years. Not just this issue, all sort of mom issues, what's best for our kids. And there is conflicting evidence. And so I think that a lot of people are willing to dive deeper and to look into whatever research comes out and to demand that there is more and continued research surrounding autism and a variety of issues that affect maternal health.
To what extent has your trust in him gone down since he's been in office?
I wasn't, although I'm sort of like a Maha mom, I'm not a huge RFK fan in particular. So I've never put that much emphasis on what he necessarily has to say, but I'm very appreciative that he's raising these issues.
Who do you look to? Who do you trust on these issues?
Other moms, my own pediatrician, my own research.
Yeah. Sean, go ahead.
If you are a Democrat thinking of wanting to lead our party, listen to Jesse. Don't mock this idea. Champion and embrace what you're saying. That is so well said.
Sean.
I just say, it's funny, growing up, there was always this view that you got a second opinion. And then that shifted to suddenly you must listen to everything that Big Pharma and the government say, can't question anything. I appreciate the curiosity, which I think is what's going on now in food, to say what makes sense. Why is there such a strict doctrine that we can only do this or it's good? Because we started to find out in the last year that, red dye probably isn't that good for you. Yeah, ultra processed food, probably not that good for you. So I appreciate the fact that at the very least, what the Maha movement is doing is getting to question the doctrine that has existed for several decades now about what we must do and getting us back to that relationship that you have, Jesse, where you can say to your own doctor, what's best for me, not that everything has to be dictated straight from the government and from Big Pharma.
And I've heard some talk about Hep B too, which is a pregnant woman. That is something that just common sense was like, why do we need this? Tell me more. And so I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Are you happy with the recommendation?
By the way, the Hep B.
on that topic, Jesse, do you try? Are you happy with what, or do you still have more questions and you're a little unsure?
Do you mean the current recommendation
That they just changed to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm happy with the change. Yeah, I'm not completely opposed to it. I just don't know that we need to do it immediately at the hospital, which was recommended when I had my kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesse, so grateful to you coming on. We have some comic relief because it's been a relatively heavy episode. This is the president on Air Force One yesterday talking about vaccines. And Sarah Cooper, the comedian who does like the lip syncing of the president. Just imagine Sarah Cooper doing this one. It's prime material. With 107, please. Spoiler alert, he talks nonsense.
Oh, the sound's off.
You gotta be clear again. Video and sound.
Yeah. Roll sound and picture.
Getting to announce any link between vaccines and autism?
Vaccines are very interesting. They can be great, but when you put the wrong stuff in them, and children get these massive vaccines like you give to a horse. And I've said for a long time, I mean, this is no secret, spread them out over 5 years. Get 5 shots, small ones. Did you ever see what they give? They give, I mean, for a little baby to be injected with that much fluid, even beyond the actual ingredients. They have sometimes 80 different vaccines in them. It's crazy. It's that's a common sense thing too. It's like you're shooting up a horse. You have a little body, a little baby, and you're pumping this big thing. It's a horrible thing. So I've always felt that.
All right,
but
Jesse,
we'll be having a big discussion tomorrow.
You have a lot of confidence in Dr. Trump on the horse
metaphor? I'm not looking to Trump
Okay.
solely for vaccine recommendations for my kids.
That's probably wise. Jesse, loved having you on. Thank you for being part of Two Way. We hope you'll come back.
Thank you.
So funny. You could see the polling spinning in his head.
Yeah.
Don't slam it, but don't embrace it.
The horse thing. Somebody send that to Sarah Cooper. Sean, what do you have tonight?
Big show. Lucas Miles, the senior director of Faith at Turning Point USA, caught up with him last night as he left the stadium about not just the event, but the future of Turning Point USA Faith and a lot of the outcome of that. So we'll talk to him about that. And then Congressman Andy Harris from Maryland is the chairman of the House Freedom Caucus. We're going to talk to him about obviously Charlie's impact on the movement, but also government funding, government shutdown, where we're headed on that. And then obviously just since Carrie brought it up, we're going to recap the whole what I experienced with ABC News over the weekend and their attempts to sort of try to go after me after they screwed up.
I'm so interested that they did that. Why did they go after you so strenuously?
Because I actually put the exact quote that Jonathan Karl said. Apparently they didn't like it. So they didn't like being quoted with their words.
Okay. All right. At 11:30 today, Jesse's favorite, my favorite, Meghan McCain, my friend, hosts Joe Manchin to talk about his new book. Meghan and Joe Manchin, Citizen McCain, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time during the conversation. Then 6 o'clock. Carrie, I only have 2 shows today. Sorry. I'll be on 2A tonight with 2 great guests, 2 of my favorites, Amber Duke and Steve Elmendorf. We'll talk about all the day's news, including the White House briefing. Don't forget, you can listen to this program, as was said, as a podcast. Same with 2A tonight. Download, like, subscribe, share, play act, whatever you wish. And then I'll have 3 shows tomorrow. So we can fill up everyone's day. Thank you for being part of the 2-Way experience. The 3 of us will be back in 23 hours with more of this program, and it's going to be a very
and it's the first day today. Welcome for fall. And by the way, if you want to come out right now today, we still got a couple slots left. YellowRibbonFundGolf.com. Help some caregivers of wounded soldiers. Come out here today, or just donate. It's your call.
And on 2-Way tonight, I'll have shaved and I'll be wearing a different shirt. So that's something for everybody to look forward to. Thank you for being part of the 2-Way experience. We'll see you in 23 hours. Have a great day.
Hit it straight, Sean.
It will do.